Hello, I'm Erin Barnafis, and I'm a senior at Webster City High School, and I'm also WCTV, our school television program's technical director. We have a few questions that we would like to ask you today. I understand that you have an intern program. Can you tell us some more about that?
First of all, thank you, Erin, for having me. I appreciate it very much. At a high school, I don't get a chance to do this very often. I have an intern program. I have had one ever since I've been in the United States Senate. So I have 7 college interns in the fall, 7 college interns in the spring, and then during the summer we have so many applicants, we have 2 6-week sessions. So over the course of a year, about 30 college students get a chance to come to Washington, D.C. They have a desk, a computer, a telephone. They have work like everybody else in the office, and they get to interact with me. They get to interact with other members of my staff, the full-time staff. They get to go to committee meetings. They get to see the Senate in session. They get to learn government by experience. And if anybody's interested in coming to Washington, D.C. To be an intern, they would go to Grassley2017 and click on interns and read about it and make application.
Okay. Sounds like a good program. You have nearly 24 years of perfect attendance. How do you keep this up? What makes it so, like, you go?
Okay. Well, first of all, the perfect attendance, and that's casting about 7,900 votes so far without missing a vote, in and of itself is not a significant thing. But I do it because I think people feel that people in public service like I am, particularly members of Congress, don't take their job very seriously. And it's one way that I can show the cynical people of the country that I take my job very seriously. And when we're in session, I'm there voting. That's the real advantage of it. And the way you do it is you just have your mind geared to not missing a vote. Your staff is geared to making sure something doesn't crop up unexpectedly and you can miss a vote. And then you've got to be very careful when I come back to Iowa every weekend to make sure that you're watching the weather, make sure you got plenty of airplane reservations to get back in time and maybe go back a little bit early. But it's my way of just letting people know that I haven't forgot my #1 job is representing the people of Iowa.
It's very impressive. What does the future look like for you as a senator?
Well, of course, you know I'm in my 7th term. At the end of this term, which would be 2022, I will have served 42 years. And when you're of my age, I think it's better just to take a day at a time and think in terms of I'm representing the people now. This office doesn't belong to me. It's a public trust. You renew that public trust whenever you have an election. Mine was renewed for 2 years, and just to carry out my public trust of representing the people of Iowa and do what's in front of me with some long-term goals, but just to make sure that I'm on top of things that Iowans want and what their opinions are, and try to respect that point of view in Washington, D.C. when I vote.
What are your thoughts on adding congressional term limits? Do you think this will be happening in the near future?
Yeah. I don't know what will happen in the near future. I can tell you how it will happen in the near future. The same way it happened about 20 years ago when I voted for term limits. There was a grassroots effort to go in that direction. And I supported that grassroots effort. I will support that effort again. But I don't think you can expect it to come from Washington top down. It's got to come from the grassroots up. So when there's another movement in that direction, hopefully this time it'll be successful. It got a majority vote in the United States Senate, but when you have to amend the Constitution in order to get term limits. And so it takes a 2/3 vote, and then 3/4 of the state legislature have to approve it. It's kind of a long process, but it come up from the grassroots.
We've seen lots of changes in Iowa education recently with the hiring of Betsy DeVos and the new collective bargaining bill. How is this going to affect education locally and nationally?
Well, I can talk about the new Secretary of Education. I'm not sure that I can talk about what's going to happen here with the collective bargaining bill, because all I know about it is what I've followed through the newspapers, and I know there were some changes made, and I'm not sure what those changes were. But I can comment on her. There was a lot of opposition to her, but that opposition tended to almost reflect that she could keep public schools open or close public schools. The Secretary of Education, even under a Democrat president, would not have that kind of authority. Webster City School is in business because the voters here keep it in business. The legislature sets up certain requirements that Webster City can meet if they can meet their budget. And if there's any changes in school district boundaries, that can only be done by the vote of the people of Webster City, or in my school district, Dyke, New Hartford. Washington, D.C. has nothing to do with it. And I think that what the Secretary of Education has to do is make sure that the 3 or 4 things that we spend money on in Washington, D.C. for education are spent effectively. Number 1, for special education. Number 2, for vocational education. Number 3, for reading programs. And 4, for people going to college, Pell Grants, and guaranteed student loans. And she has to administer those programs. But the feeling came from the phone calls that I got from Iowan was that if she got elected, that she'd be able to shut down the public schools. She can't do that. Only there's 50 different state laws, because there's 50 different states, and under the U.S. Constitution, the states run the schools, not the federal government.
Iowa has several very well-respected journalism schools, and you took time to sit down with our local school television program. So what would you tell today's journalism students in regards to the current great wave of resentment against journalists and news organizations coming from Washington?
Yeah. Forget about what's going on in Washington. Look at your own profession, and then look at the Constitution and the First Amendment, freedom of press, freedom of TV, freedom of anything you got to express your opinions, along with freedom of speech and freedom of religion. I see freedom of press being very, very important, and is the first in the First Amendment freedoms, because a free press is going to guarantee that our government is responsible. And so just do your job of reporting the news to make sure that you keep people in government responsible.
Okay, and now we're to our rapid fire Coke and Pepsi style questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Coke or Pepsi?
I'm a Pepsi person more, but but you got a little bit wrong. I'm more of a Dr. Pepper person.
You are?
Yeah.
John Deere or Case IH?
John Deere for me, but Case IH for my son who operates our family farm.
Under Armour or Nike?
Nike.
Skittles or M&M's?
I think M&M's.
I know you like to run, but running or biking?
Just running.
Just running?
I'm maybe at that age where I better start biking, but my knees haven't given out yet.
Apple or Samsung for phones?
I think Apple.
Summer or winter?
Oh, summer by all kinds. Yeah.
Cyclones or Hawkeyes?
Panthers.
Panthers.
Yeah, that's where I went to school.
Yeah. Corn or soybeans?
Both. We're 60% corn, 40% soybeans.
Black or white?
I guess I'll take white.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Good.
You bet.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, definitely. Too much of it.
Books or movies?
Movies. But books when I can listen to them in my car.
Yeah.
But I don't get much chance to read books.
Beef or chicken?
Beef.
Peanut butter or jelly?
I like them both on toast.
Redbox or Netflix?
Netflix.
Dancing or singing?
Oh, I don't do either. I don't even sing in church because I get tired of people in front of me looking around seeing who's singing behind. So I don't do either one.
So you wouldn't like to sing for us?
You wouldn't want me to sing for you.
Nope, okay.
Yeah.
Ketchup or mustard?
Ketchup.
Whole wheat or white bread?
Whole wheat.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits.
And last one, do you look at the glass half full or the glass half empty?
I always like to think of the glass half full.
That's good. Well, thank you for your time, Senator Grassley.
You've been good to me.
This has been Aaron Barnafis for WCTV.